Good afternoon, ambitious business owners. I hope you're having a good week so far. It's only Tuesday. First of all, an apology. I didn't go live last Tuesday with this topic of building relationships. Apologies for that. So here I am with it. So, building relationships in business, and I'm not just talking about sort of networking events and connecting with other business owners. I'm talking about building relationships in all sorts of areas of your life and business, which ultimately will support your business. And it can support your business, be it generating leads, new customers and clients, or it could be finding a new supplier. Could even be finding a new employee. In fact, all of my employees have been found through building relationships as opposed to a formal recruitment drive, which obviously to me is of great benefit because generally they come as a trusted person. I've saved an awful lot of money. Hi, Lorraine, thank you. I've saved money in recruiting because recruiting is time consuming and can be costly. So what I'm saying is relationships can help in ways that you might not have considered. And there's lots of ways to build relationships. Sometimes the obvious one, as I say, people go to networking events, and yes, they can be great, but you don't have to formalize it in that way. And if you can't get out to networking events and you can't commit to anything regular like that, and I don't, you might want to just pick and choose one or two one-off events, because you will meet all sorts of people at those. Even just queuing to get in, or browsing stalls if it's an expo perhaps. But it's also about relationships in a less formal setting. And this could be when you're dealing with a supplier and you perhaps chat about something else, which leads on to a conversation about something else you need and someone else that they know. Equally, building relationships with your customers and your clients, because again, you never know who they know that could support and help you as well. So it's remembering that every person you meet and connect with could be useful to you in some way. And I'm not saying that in a way where you've got to look at everyone as an opportunity, and see them as dollar signs. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying just treat everybody respectfully and with the attitude of they could support me in some way, and equally I could support them, because relationships have to be two-way. You can't just meet people to take. It's two-way. And so a few sort of tips when you're building relationships. If you go in with that mentality that you're not trying to gain anything, you're looking to connect with people, and build your circle and widen and broaden your circle. Quite often it's the people who are less obvious that you think would be of no use to you and you could never help them are often the ones that are. And the more you do it, the more you'll realize this, and then you won't go in with any assumptions about people. Everybody's just equal and the same, and you could help them, or equally you might not, and you just might become a person that you connect with. They might connect with you through LinkedIn or on Facebook, and you just never know. It's that rule about everyone's two people removed from each other or something, and there's always somebody who's connected to somebody. So I go in with that attitude. I don't write anybody off. I don't say, oh, I'll never go to that because it won't be useful to me. Obviously, I weigh it up in terms of time or cost, but quite often I go in thinking, well, what could I learn? I could meet X, Y, Z, but I don't go in with any with any views of what I'm going to gain and what I want from it. I just let it sort of flow and happen, unravel, and that's the exciting part of building relationships. And then it's about nurturing and maintaining them. So if you discover a mutual benefit in a connection, try not to let it fizzle. And it's the classic where people do go to these networking events and it can be quite rushed and people hand cards out and then you never connect again, and it all just fizzles out. And that's why I'm not a massive fan of them. Certainly not for a place, I've never really had really meaningful connections from those sorts of events, because everyone's going in with the attitude of doing that, and it just doesn't, it's not a natural way to meet people. So it's the people I meet quite by accident, and they're the people that I will nurture that relationship with and stay in touch with them. And it might be as simple as, can we connect on LinkedIn, and or you share something with them, or you send an email or a text message and thank them and say it was really nice to meet you. And start to try and get to know those people. If you use a CRM system, it's really useful to put them into that first and make a few notes about where you met them and any sort of interesting things you noted, or something you gleaned from a conversation, something they mentioned, that you can bring up in conversation another time. Or just make a mental note of, you know, what they do and the sorts of things that perhaps you could help them with, or equally they could help you with. And then it'll be that 6 months, a year down the line, when you suddenly think, oh, yes, I remember so-and-so could benefit from that, and I'll tag them in that, or I'll send that to them, or I'll give them a call. Totally agree, you need to treat people the way you'd like to be treated. Absolutely, Lorraine, at all times, yes. Always have my radar on, because you just never know. Much prefer one interesting contact than 10 pointless business cards. Absolutely, me too. I went to an event just recently, and it was a one-off thing, and there was one, I barely spoke to anybody because it didn't really lend itself to that. It ran over time, and there was meant to be some networking at the end, and because it ran over, I had to dash straight off to another meeting, so I wasn't able to stay and formally network with anyone. But there was one particular person that I had a chance to speak to, and really enjoyed the conversation, and he was going off traveling, and we shared a few common interests, and we just kind of clicked. And so I followed up with everybody, but I followed up with him, and realized that there was a way we could sort of help each other, and he could help me, and we did, and it's been great, and I'll be able to reveal what that is later. But absolutely, and that was just one that really worked out of a room full of probably about 50 people, no, maybe not 50, maybe 30 people there all together. And yes, totally agree, Lorraine. It's treating people the way you'd like to be treated, and you want to be felt like you were being targeted and your brains picked and just targeted for what you can give somebody. It's got to be that fair, mutual respect for each other. So yeah, so if you've going back to the nurturing the relationship, if you've got a CRM system, I tend to make a few notes about them. Now I've got the sort of brain that does remember like random facts about people and things, and I think that comes with having a genuine interest in people and what they do. So if you can build that, and if you can't, make notes about them, and then use certain tags perhaps to remind you of what it is about that person and why you've connected with them, so that you can go back to them. Because there's nothing worse than like them contacting you and you thinking, who are you? Can't remember where I met you. Can't remember what we talked about. And you're all very vague. I had that instance with somebody who I met at an expo event. And he'd clearly completely forgotten that that's where we connected when I followed up with him, and started talking about stuff that he should have known because we talked about it. And that sort of made me feel a bit, well, you didn't really listen to me. You didn't really value what I was saying. I listened to you. And so that kind of made it all feel a bit icky and false. So make a few notes. And then if you've got those tags, and if something comes up later down the line, as I say, it could be a month or years later, and you suddenly think about it, then it gives you an opportunity to build that relationship further. So that's my view of building relationships in business. It's helped me no end. It saves money and time, because if you know someone who can help you, or you know someone who might know somebody, rather than having to hunt blindly and not go on a recommend, or have to spend money researching, whatever it might be, if you know somebody, it just saves so much time. And, you know, I love being the person that might know somebody, and I'm, you know, it's it's something that can be of monetary value to you. And as I say, when it comes to customers and clients, even more so. And your industry, Lorraine, you know, in the hospitality industry, your customers will know all sorts of people. And it's not just about the word of mouth referrals and passing on, but there might be something completely random that you need or that you mention, and they say, oh, I can help you with that with Lorraine. And you've got that relationship with them. So have a go at it. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Rachel. Thank you for joining me. Have a go at it. Start thinking about where your network is perhaps lacking, or if you're someone who sits behind your computer all day and doesn't really get out and doesn't build relationships, and hasn't added to your network recently, maybe look for opportunities to go to something. And it could just be something in your local community, not business related. It could be something that the local council's putting on, or the museum, anything like that. Hi, Rachel, thank you. Any of those places are a great ground for connecting with random people who know other random people that can help you in a random way that you never thought. And I'd love to hear if anybody has a go at this and shares places. You know, I've met people in car parks, in cafes, in the queue for things. You know, it's not always the obvious places. So have a look for something to go to that you might not have considered going to before, or maybe do a bit of snooping around on LinkedIn and connect with some people that aren't obvious to you, but could in some way help you. And it just gets you out and broadens your network a little bit more. Yes, absolutely, Rachel. The world of digital has led us away from connecting. It has, totally. And I get that everybody's busy, and if you're running a business predominantly online, then it's easy to forget to get out there. And that's why, you know, I made a point of going to this particular event. I will always take up opportunities to go and teach face-to-face when people invite me to go and coach on media or speak at something. If at all possible, I say yes. Because even if I think, well, I'm not going to generate any leads from that, yes, I've got to balance that, but I want to meet new people, because you just don't know. So hopefully that was useful, and I'm sorry this was a week late. Next week I'll have another topic, but as ever, if you've got a particular topic you want me to talk about, or you've got a question you want answering in the group, always very happy to do it as a topic. And you can do it anonymously. You don't have to do it publicly. Just send me a PM, and I will see you all again next Tuesday. Thanks, guys. Have a great week.